Donald Trump Jr., named Man of the Year by Daddy Issues magazine 40 years running. So, what brought America's greatest living Donald Trump to India? Was it a profound sense of wanderlust, or did perhaps a trash pile of shitty condos need unloading? I won't keep you in suspense.
Don Jr. arriving today using the Trump brand to sell new luxury apartments. Newspaper ads in the country touting, Trump has arrived. Have you?
OK, so first, Trump has arrived is unquestionably what Don Jr. says when he orgasms. He saves the have you for special occasions. And also, that is a pretty misleading ad, because when you say Trump has arrived, people naturally assume you mean the President of the United States, not Don Jr. It's like if Ed Sullivan went, ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles, and then the studio was just overrun with Beatles. That's not what people signed up for. And look, if you think that's harsh, even those present were a tad disappointed, with one real estate developer telling the Washington Post, ideally, we'd have preferred Ivanka. Which, yes, is understandable, but you're coming off a little ungrateful there, India. Just be thankful you didn't get Eric, OK? It could have been worse. Now, Don Jr.'s trip started off a little bumpy as well. He sat down with CNBC India for a softball interview in which he somehow managed to give the only wrong answer to the question, can you say one thing you like about India?
I think there is something about the spirit of the Indian people that's unique here to other parts of the emerging world. You go through a town and and I don't mean to be glib about it, but you can see the poorest of the poor. And there's still a smile on a face. You say hello. It's a different spirit that you don't see in other parts of the world.
OK, so look, condescending tone aside, I will just point out that even if the poorest of the poor were smiling at Don Jr., there's no way that they weren't also thinking, we would have preferred Ivanka. But the actual substantial problem with this trip was the ethical questions that it posed, in part because those who bought into those condos got offered conversation and dinner with Don Jr., which is fine for a private citizen, but it becomes problematic if he's perceived as representing the government. And while he insisted that he was just a private businessman doing private business things, one speech was originally titled Reshaping Indo-Pacific Ties, the New Era of Cooperation, which sure as shit sounds like foreign policy, and they must have realised that it was a problem because the title was later changed to Fireside Chats with Donald Trump Jr., Executive Vice President, the Trump Organization. Presumably, in between, it was billed as Big Boy Business with I'm Donald Trump too. Still, I will say this in Donald Jr.'s defence. It may be difficult for him to sell access to his father's inner circle because, as he revealed during that fireside chat, he doesn't seem to be anywhere near it.
What are conversations at home like?
Well, again, I think these days I see him so little that we don't actually talk politics. Now, when I think, hey, why don't I call him just to say hi, I think about the stuff that he's dealing with on a daily basis. When something goes on, in a country far, far away, and I don't even want to bother him. I feel it's almost trite to call him and just to say hello. Does that make any sense? It probably doesn't.
No, you're right. It doesn't. At all. Because calling your dad just to say hello could never seem trite, because that's just not what the word trite means. In any shape or form. But I will say this. He can call his dad or not call him. It doesn't really make a difference, because after this week, if we've learned one thing about Donald Trump, it's that you could be sitting right in front of him and he could even tell you that he hears you, but that does not mean he's listening to a fucking word you're saying.